In today's episode we're going to cook up some chicken lollipops with a little bit of heat and a little bit of sweet, and we're going to do it all on the Weber Kettle. Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. Glad to have you all here. Today we're going to be doing a cook, and it's quite a simple one. We're going to use chicken drumsticks, but we're going to do something a little different with them. We're going to make them into chicken lollipops, rub them up using one of the Angus and Oink rubs, and then we'll do them indirect, nice and hot on the grill to crisp up the skin a little bit, and then we'll do a nice glaze over the top of them. It is a simple recipe, and we're going to add a little bit of smoke in there just to add another depth of flavour to it. There'll also be a nice balance between the rub and the sauce, so we get a nice heat off the rub, and the sauce will give us that sweetness then. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and I'll show you how to prepare the chicken first. So the chicken drumsticks are quite easy to prepare. One thing I will say is to use a nice sharp knife. If you have to, sharpen it beforehand, because it can be quite tough to cut through the tendons and stuff that are in the chicken legs. So what you want to go ahead and do is, at the thinnest part of the chicken leg, you want to run the knife right around the outside, cutting through the skin and any tendons that are there. Next, then the top part of the skin and the joint of the chicken leg needs to be taken off. So pull everything to the top of the bone, and then using your finger you need to pry that in between the joint of the knuckle and pop that top part off. Now that can be quite difficult to do. You might need to apply a little bit of pressure to get it off, but be careful you don't snap the actual leg bone that's running through the drumstick. So once that's done, you can push all the meat down to the bottom of the bone that's running through the drumstick. Now if you're having problems getting them to stand upright, sometimes there's a little knuckle at the bottom of the thickest part of the drumstick. So just lie them flat, and again with a nice sharp knife you can cut a flat bottom on them that will allow them to stand upright, as this is the way we're going to cook them, so you want to make sure they'll all stand up. Now as far as presentation goes, you can spend as much time as you want trying to trim up that top bone to clean it up nicely. Realistically, if this is just for a home cook, give them a quick scrape with the knife, and there'll still be little bits of stuff stuck onto it, but personally I don't really care about it. It's not where you're going to be eating from. If this was going into a competition or something like that, then you might want to take a little bit more time and effort into it. But for me, I am happy enough with the way they look. Rough and ready is the way we do it. So once you have them all trimmed up and standing to attention, it's time to get the rub onto them and get them onto the cooker. So the rub we're using today is the red Cajun from Angus and Oink from their prototype kitchen range. This is a really nice rub. There's nice flavours in it, and it really packs a heat punch. So this is the rub we're going to use, and then we're actually going to glaze them once they're almost ready with the glazed and confused from Angus and Oink as well. So to get the lollipops rubbed up, I like to put them into a tray. We're going to need something to help the rub bind to the skin, so I've rubbed them lightly with a little bit of oil, and then just apply the rub to them, coating the entire surface of the skin, and also remember to do the bottom of them as well. Once they're coated, just let them sit for a few minutes to allow that rub to tack up to the surface while you get the barbecue ready. So as far as grill setup goes, then we're cooking these on the Weber Kettle using the indirect 50-50 split method. So if you're not sure about setting up your grill for indirect cooking, I'll leave a link for a video up here. You can check out, and it explains all the different methods. We're using a lumpwood charcoal, which is the restaurant grade lumpwood charcoal from Direct Charcoal. Again, I'll leave links in it for them down in the description if you want to check them out. I've used it on a number of cooks and I'm really happy with it. I have both the restaurant grade and their premium restaurant grade, and both are really good for this kind of cooking. So 50-50 split. I'm using the charcoal baskets in this cook, so half of the charcoal into each side, and that should give us a nice high indirect heat of sort of 180 to 200 degrees, so that'll help the skin of these crisp up nice and quickly. So now it's time to let the meat see the heat. We're cooking these indirect, so place them up the centre of the cooking grate in between the coals. Stand them upright, and that way you'll get a nice even crispness in the skin all the way around. Once you put them on, then the last thing to do is add your wood chunks. So for this cook I've used a chunk of cherry wood and a smaller chunk of pecan. just to give you a nice mix. They won't take on smoke for too long, that skin will crisp up pretty quickly, and it's quite a short cook, you're talking roughly around 45 minutes. So those 2 chunks will just give it a nice smoky flavour at the start, and it'll give you a nice colour in the skin too. So once they're on the cooking grate, close the lid and leave them. We want to take them up to an internal temperature of around 65 degrees Celsius. At that point then we're going to glaze them and take them up to their final temperature of 75 degrees Celsius. So as soon as your chicken lollipops reach an internal temperature of around 65 degrees Celsius, it's time to go ahead and apply the glaze. So for this one we've used Angus and Oink Glazed and Confused. It's a really nice sweet glaze and it gives them a great colour and a great shine. So go ahead and brush that onto them. Now they will fall over everywhere if you just brush it on the grill, so I found it best to hold them with the tongs and then brush the glaze onto them. So do that and then put the lid back on, and we want to take these up to an internal temperature of around 75 degrees Celsius. So at the minute I've just glazed them and we're about maybe half an hour into the cook, so we're probably looking at another 15 minutes or so to get them up to that full temperature. At an internal temperature of 75 degrees, and we've lifted them off now and let them rest for a little while. So I guess it's time to do a taste test. They're cool enough to handle now, the bones have cooled down. They are screaming hot on the barbecue, so if you're going to lift them, use a pair of gloves or a set of tongs. So the glaze is set out quite nice on them. You can still see the texture of the rub on it, so we'll give it a taste. They're messy to eat. First thing you get is the sweetness of the glaze, which is quite nice, but that rub, the red Cajun, really comes through with a power kick of heat. It's really good. The chicken's still lovely and moist inside. Oh, the heat just keeps coming. Yes, that's perfect. That's exactly the balance I wanted between the sweetness of the glaze and then the heat of the rub. I was considering cutting the rub with a little bit of smoked sugar, just adding more sweetness to it, but I'm glad I didn't. You want that real heat kick from the rub and then the sweetness coming in before and after it, so definitely recommend that match up anytime. One thing I would mention then is the bones. So some people will wrap them in tin foil to stop them colouring up. If I'm honest, I probably wouldn't want them as coloured as this, but really if it's just for a home cook, they don't really bother me that much. The temperature's crept a little bit and that's why I think they've gone a little bit too brown, but if you're worried about it, wrap them up in tin foil and that'll stop it completely. But for a home cook or a home smoke, I'm more than happy with that. So definitely recommend you give them a try. I would highly recommend that rub and sauce combination. If you do cook them, feel free to tag me in your pictures on Instagram and Twitter. But until then, I'll see you in the next episode.